Welcome back, YouTube, to another video. We got another reaction. Is your red the same as my red? Creator of Vsauce. Just stumbled upon him. We about to get into this video. Let's see what this is about.
Vsauce, Michael here. This appears blue. This appears yellow, and this appears green. Those of us with normal color vision can probably agree, but that doesn't change the fact that color is an illusion. Color as we know it does not exist in the outside world beyond us, like gravity or protons do. Instead,
because I heard a little thing. I heard a little thing about this. Essentially, because your mind basically everything you see around you doesn't exist at all, because your mind basically is basically projecting and imaging everything to basically give you an awareness about everything around you. So everything is just a digital. It's basically a digital or a sort of copy, sort of like imperfect copy of something, of the world, basically. I explained that so roughly, but he'll get
color is created inside our heads. Our brains convert a certain range of the electromagnetic spectrum into color. I can measure the wavelength of radiation, but I can't measure or observe the experience of a color inside your mind. So how do I know that when you and me look at a strawberry, and in my brain this perception occurs, which I call red, that in your brain a perception like this doesn't occur, which you have of course also learned to call red? We both call it red, we communicate effectively, and walk away, never knowing just how different each of
I think he just mind fucked me. Hold on, chat. Wait. Did he just call that strawberry red also? That's not red. I mean, you would call it somebody who would perceive it as red would call it red, but it's not. It's green.
Our internal experiences really were. Of course, we already know that not everybody sees color in exactly the same way. One example would be color blindness. But we can diagnose and discuss these differences because people with the conditions fail to see things that most of us can. Conceivably, though, there could be ways of seeing that we use that cause colors to look differently in different people's minds without altering their performances on any tests we could come up with. Of course, if that were the case, wouldn't some people think other colors looked better than others, or that some colors were more complementary of others? Well, yeah, but doesn't that already happen? This matters because it shows how fundamentally, in terms of our perceptions, we are all alone in our minds. Let's say I met
basically saying that our experience and our experience alone is unique and unique to us, and again, us alone. So for us, we're basically like we're basically alone. We're basically alone, technically, because our experience is unique to us. So nobody else will share that. Will ever experience that. We can tell, or we can translate it in a way that people can understand, but nobody will ever truly understand or truly see what we perceive, if that makes sense. I don't know.
I'm trying to make sense. From a faraway solar system who, lucky enough, could speak English, but had never and could never feel pain. I could explain to the alien that pain is sent through A delta and C fibers to the spinal cord. The alien could learn every single cell and pathway and process and chemical involved in the feeling of pain. The alien could pass a biology exam about pain and believe that pain to us generally is a bad thing. But no matter how much he learned,
he would never experience pain, so he would never fully grasp what it actually is.
Alien would never actually feel pain. Philosophers call these ineffable, raw feelings qualia. And our inability to connect physical phenomenon to these raw feelings, our inability to explain and share our own internal qualia, is known as the explanatory gap. This gap is confronted when describing color to someone who's been blind their entire life. Tommy Edison has never been able to see. He has a YouTube channel where he describes.
Yeah, so that's why it doesn't. That's why it doesn't make sense to like explain what red looks like or what yellow looks like to a blind person, because they will never fully grasp what red is, because they will never see red, and because they can't fathom it. That's why That's why people pondering asking the question. Do blind people see in their dreams, or do blind people think when they imagine something or doing something? I don't know. I don't
what
think
being
so.
blind is like.
Or I don't
it's
think
an
that's
amazing
how we do,
channel.
how we perceive things.
He talks about colors and how strange and foreign of a concept it seems to him. Sighted people try to explain, for instance, that red is hot and blue is cold. Yeah. But to someone who has never seen a single color, that just seems weird. And as he explains, it has never caused him to finally see a color.
Yeah.
Some philosophers, like Daniel Dennett, argue that qualia may be private and ineffable simply because of a failure of our own language, not because they are necessarily always going to be impossible to share. There may be an alien race that communicates in a language that causes colors to appear in your brain without your retina having to be involved at all, or without you having to have ever needed to actually see the color yourself. Perhaps even in English, he says, given millions and billions of words used in just the right way, it may be possible to adequately describe a color such that a blind person could see it for the first time. Or you could figure out that once and for all, yes, or no, in fact, you and your friend do not see the same red. But for now, it remains the case that we have no way of knowing if my red is the same as your red. Maybe one day our language will allow us to share and find out. Or maybe it never will.
That's low-key kind of scary. Not scary, but low-key kind of like scary, sad in a way. I don't know how to put it, but exactly. But it's just the fact that we are alone in a way that nobody can fully understand our personal experience, and that we can only retell that or translate that so fluently that it's, I don't know, this is very wow.
I know it's frustrating to not have an answer, but the mere fact that you guys can ask me about my internal experiences, and the mere fact that I can ask my friends, and we can all collectively wonder at the concept of qualia, is quite incredible, and also quite human. Animals can do all sorts of clever things that we do. They can use tools, problem solve, communicate, cooperate, exhibit curiosity, plan for the future. And although we can't know for sure, many animals certainly act as if they feel emotions, loneliness, fear, joy. Apes have even been taught to use language to talk to us humans. It's a sort of sign language that they've used to do everything from answer questions to express emotion or even produce novel thoughts. Unlike
it still flips me out that fucking apes can like basically talk to us. Like that in itself is crazy. All right, that's in itself is crazy though. Like I don't know. I forgot what grade I was in, but I swear, when I found out apes was I found out sign language and apes can do that shit and talk to scientists and shit. I was like, nigga, what? Sorry to sound like a dumb nigga, but like, bro.
Any other animal, these apes are able to understand language and form responses at about the level of a 2.5-year-old human child. But there's something that no signing ape has ever done. No ape has ever asked a question. Joseph Jordania's Who Asked the First Question is a great read on this topic, and it's available for free online. For as long as we have been able to use sign language to communicate with apes, they have never wondered out loud about anything that we might know that they don't. Of course, this does not mean that apes and plenty of other animals aren't curious. They obviously are. But what it suggests is that they lack a theory of mind, an understanding
Basically, a higher level of consciousness.
that other people have separate minds, that they have knowledge, access to information that you might not have. Even us humans aren't born with a theory of mind. And there's a famous experiment to test when a human child first develops a theory of mind. It is called the Sally-Ann test. During the test, researchers tell children a story about Sally and Ann. Sally and Ann have a box and a basket in their room. They also happen to have a delicious cookie. Now, Sally takes the cookie and puts it inside the box, and then Sally leaves the room. While Sally is gone, Ann comes over to the box, takes the cookie out, and puts the cookie inside the basket. Now, when Sally comes back, the researchers ask the children, where will Sally look for the cookie? Obviously, Sally will look in the box. That's where she left it. She has no way of knowing what Ann did while she was gone. But until the age of about 4, children will insist that Sally will check the basket, because after all, that's where the cookie is. The child saw Ann move the cookie.
Wait. I know apes are smart, but they're not that smart. They don't have that high. They don't have that high level of a consciousness. Hold on. What's the age comparison of a ape? Sorry about the spelling. Fuck. To remarkable intelligence in certain areas, such as strategic thinking, working memory, and problem solving. Apes excel in tasks requiring immediate memory and ability to quickly process and recall information. But like, what's the comparison though? Like, I don't know. I think I read something that the smartest ape, or at least one of the smartest apes, is compared to like, or at least smarter than a 8-year-old or 7. I don't know.
So why wouldn't Sally also know? Young children fail to realize that Sally's mental representation of the situation, her access to information, can be different than their own.
True.
And apes who know sign language but never ask us questions are doing the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So that basically answers my question. Basically have the intellect of a 4-year-old child or a 5-year-old.
Recognize that other individuals have similar cognitive abilities and can be used as sources of information. So, we are all alone with our perceptions. We are alone in our own minds. We can both agree that chocolate tastes good, but I cannot climb into your consciousness and experience what chocolate tastes like to you.
But at the end of the day, we don't really need that. That's what makes I think, at least what makes life interesting. Interpretation of things, the different worldviews, the different opinions on things. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily to the degree of disagreement or to a point to where argument or war or basically anything like that, but just to a point to where it's different and is unique in a way. So not everything is the same and bland, you know? So I think God created everything like that.
I can never know if my red looks the same as your red, but I can ask. So stay human, stay curious, and let the entire world know that you are. And as always, thanks for watching.
Yo, WVid. WVid. Vsauce. Make sure you check him out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss another video. I said comment like twice already. Doing it again. Old man. Peace.
I've been busy, you know that, you know you're just